It is for this reason that the Singapore economy is thriving, because the manpower produced meet the needs of the marketplace. Worldwide, not only in Singapore, they can work anywhere in the world. The universities in Singapore are ranked highly. Their graduates are world class and are very competent to work in multinational and large corporations all over the world. Nations like Singapore, with talented and skillful workforce, are able to attract investment. Then what happens when you got skilled workforce? Then investment comes to Singapore, So if you don't have the workforce, there's no way people can invest in your country, So if today, Patalong have opportunity to develop the competency in agriculture technology, then people will invest in Patalong. So I think this initiative is fantastic, because I can see Patalong as the food center even for Malaysia, because you are so close to Malaysia, and we in Malaysia, we import a lot of food. So if today we can attract investors even from Malaysia, then I think Patalong GDP will increase. So this is you have taken the first step forward, and I think what is important is to come with some kind of a policy that will attract investment in your agriculture industry, And today, the per capita income of Singapore is among the highest in the world, What has Singapore? Nothing. They have only people, When Singapore gained independence, it had 2 million people with no rice, nothing, only the people. So if you have the people, if you know how to educate your people, I think you will be successful. And the fact that Singapore is a member of ASEAN, is very important for us to learn from Singapore how they develop their human resource, so that it can help to develop the economy, So Singapore, let me say, Singapore National University was founded slightly earlier than Chulalongkorn, over a century ago, as the University of Malaya. After Malaysia gained independence in 1957, University of Malaya Kuala Lumpur campus was established. The Kuala Lumpur branch was modeled after the Singapore campus. In fact, the pioneering staff at Kuala Lumpur were mostly from Singapore. Both campuses had similar organizational and academic structure along the British system, After Singapore gained full independence in 1965, University of Malaya Singapore was renamed to Singapore National University. But both campuses had the same origin, Although both universities had undergone many restructuring and transformation processes, they remain still very British in nature, Singapore has a large resources to invest in higher education. But this is not the case with many of us in ASEAN, Although Southeast Asia or ASEAN countries are not as well endowed as Singapore, this does not mean educational excellence cannot be achieved without sacrificing national goal. That is, to democratize higher education. While expanding capacity remains the primary objective, academic excellence should also be an integral part of the national agenda. I think we should not forget, while we expand the educational opportunities, we must sustain the quality, at any cost. So the pursuit for excellence should not be compromised. Ideally, higher education should be tailored or to be tailor-made to cater for various talent and capability. I must say that the American system is about the best when it comes to tailoring. For instance, you take, say, California, an example, because California is closest to us. Say, they have the top tier. For instance, these are Stanford, all right, Caltech. And then you got some of the top UC system, or University California system, Berkeley. Berkeley, you can consider Berkeley, Stanford, Caltech as the elitists in California, all right? Then to go there, you have to compete with the best in the world, you know. It's nothing to do with money, you know. If you can get, say, to Stanford, if you have no money, they pay for you because they want your brain. They are not interested in your money. So at Harvard, if you get to Harvard, you say, no, it doesn't matter. What they need is your brain, and they pay for your brain. Then you got the second tier, you know, in California. So in fact, there are 4 tiers. But in our system, we're a bit cloudy, you know. We don't know, are we second, who are the third, who are the fourth. We have no tier. So the second tier would be also just as good, you know, like the UC system. UC California, Davis, Irvine, San Diego, you know, Santa Barbara. These are top universities. I think Stanford, Berkeley, and Caltech, they are A+. These campuses are A grade. Then you got the B level, you know. The B level university is California State University. You know, not UC, California State. These are the B level. You know, not all can get to the UC system. Some have to go to the B grade, you know. And, you know, then if you still not able to compete to the B grade, you go to C grade. You go to the community colleges, you know. So they got at least 4 systems, 4 levels. And these are well recognized. But, you know, the one thing that they do, they allow you to migrate, you know, from level to level, if you're good. You can transfer credit from one system to the other. So that by the time you graduate, at least you go to UC San Francisco, for instance, or UCLA. Or you started in another campus. So it's also interconnected. Although they are specific tier, but they are interconnected. You know, I want to tell you, many Malaysians have found a secret in the US, you know. They send their children to the C university. Sure, you get better grade. Then you transfer to the A university, you know. After 2 years, they ask for a transfer, you know. Because the system allows you to transfer. So you are not condemned there forever. If you work hard, you can move to the A grade institution. So the American system is to me is very ideal, you know. So you were saying that we cannot get people. See, because in our case, we try to create, you know, vocational polytechnic, and it's not acceptable anymore now. They want to be called university, you know. Although we know there's a demand for skilled work, but they don't want to go because of the branding, you know, of the university, you know. That's why this vocational university or institution or polytechnic, you know, so they're not interested. So they want to go to a university so that they get the branding right, you know. So that was why we have problem in getting people to go to the lower tier institution in South Asia, you know, because we don't do the right branding, you know. So as a result, what happened in Malaysia, they keep changing, you know. So slowly everybody become a university, you know. You see, an ideal institution of higher learning, what I was saying, you know, that the university must complement one another, you know, so that we can cater for the needs and capability of the individual and talent. So in this way, everyone has a right to pursue higher education, you know. So that is what true democracy is all about in education, you know. Everybody has a right. Whether you are working or you're old or young, you have access to education, you know. So higher education in ASEAN varies between member nations. In the case of Singapore, as I said earlier, the universities are elitist. Admission is strictly based on merit. Higher education in Singapore is to train manpower for the sophisticated industries and businesses, especially in the service and financial sectors. Singapore adopts a liberal policy concerning the recruitment of foreign labor, as it realized that it cannot possibly train all the manpower that is needed in its own country. Malaysia higher education shared a common root with Singapore, but evolved slightly differently, you know. The broad objective of Malaysian initiative is to democratize education and to promote Malaysia as an international education hub. No, let me just say one thing, you know. If you ask me, about 25 years ago, will Malaysia ever become an educational hub? I won't believe it was possible when I was a young professor. But what happened, when the present Prime Minister was the Minister of Higher Education, he set up a 6 committee, he enacted 6 laws, we were all asked to help in drafting the law, to change the whole template of Malaysian higher education. That law, the most important part is to allow Malaysia to establish private university and to use English as a medium of instruction. That was what made Malaysia as a center for international education. Without that law, it would not be possible. I don't know how much can we learn from the Malaysian initiative, but today Malaysia has nearly 100,000 foreign students, in the university, 100,000. And at one time, only postgraduates were admitted to the government university. But today, we also allow foreign students to enter the undergraduate, and to teach in English. They call it some international program, so you allow them to teach in English. And I think over time, it's very interesting that it's evolving, but I think what was important, we created the 6 law that enable Malaysia to transform into center for international education, So I'm sure there are many Thai students in Penang, I think Thai would like to go to Penang, So I know there are a number, even in private universities, And for sure, there are many Indonesian students studying in Malaysia. And I think people come from at least 70 countries, to study in Malaysia today. And Malaysia also expanding, expanding opportunities for international students. The idea is that in a few years' time, we should be having about 150,000 foreign students. That was the target set by the Ministry of Higher Education. So today, Malaysia has nearly, so I know I checked with Thailand, they said they have nearly 200 universities, but we have only 60, nearly 60, I'm not sure if we're 60 or not, nearly 60s, with more than half are private, So the government university is very few. So the private university is more than the government. Allowing private university to use English as a medium, as I said earlier, of instruction, accelerate the process of internationalization, So we have to use English, So rightly today, you did the right thing. The conference is in English, So it's a good start, Malaysia has a sizable number of foreign students who come from all over the world. As I said earlier, even the public universities are now admitting foreign students for undergraduate degree program, although the focus in the past was at graduate level. The presence of foreign students enrich student life on the campus. This is also an issue, If you have foreign students on your campus, you're promoting, cultural exchange, understanding between people, which is, I think you're promoting goodwill, That's also the key. Besides giving them the degree, they also leave behind something for us as well to learn, to benefit. So we must not look that we are helping the foreign student. No, they are also helping us to promote international understanding. So that's why you must see, this presence of foreign student as also a benefit to you, Because not all of us can go to study in England or US, So you should bring them to our campus and we all get a higher exposure to foreign culture. So the world we live in is a complex one, where differences of opinion can easily lead to dispute and conflict, which in turn cause human suffering. The role of a university should be as a promoter for global peace, and this should not be underestimated, There is no way for you to learn about one another unless you can eat and play together and live together,